So, as a parent, he, of course, gets those feelings in your stomachs when you.
He's a cow. That's why he has multiple stomachs. You're listening to Improv-ing Business on Web Talk Radio, where personal and business finance take a front row seat. I'm Brandon.
And this is Rick.
And today we'll be talking about company strategic culture. Where there's smoke, there's fire. But what if you can't see the smoke? When trying to change corporate culture, CEOs and executives and small business owners say that the biggest impediment to change is employee resistance.
Boy, a lot of owners of businesses can really say that when they try to make changes in the company, how different it is and how difficult it is to get employees to move in that same direction.
The reason this resistance happens is because the strong, respected change leaders, or people with sort of informal influence, are really the people who you need to get on board in order to change company culture.
Now, a lot of people think people with influence are those in the C level, but in the rank and file and the co-workers on many levels, there are people on those levels that also are influential to their co-workers.
So it's important, as someone who's trying to change corporate culture, to convince these informal influences to get on board with you before trying to institute a change.
And this falls right on line of what we've talked about in the past about Jim Collins' book where he says, get the right people on the bus. We talked about different ways around that. We never really gave specific instructions on how to get those right people. And who are those right people?
And we'll be looking through a couple of lenses on ways to identify these informal change makers through both McKinsey Quarterly article and sociology later on in this episode.
But our story today is going to talk about a successful cultural change. And now this culture that was in the firefighting arena, meaning firefighters, county firefighters.
Not the arena where we make firefighters fight each other?
No, I don't think so. But
the Coliseum of firefighters.
That's right. Oh, you know what? It's closed down.
It's illegal now.
2,000 years ago, I think they closed it down. Something. Mm-hmm. This story starts off with my cousin Rich and his two adult sons. Now, they are hunters and fishermen, so they would go up in the mountains, the Sierras, to hunt and fish. And on this one trip, on coming back, Richard had driven back first from the southern Sierras, followed by his second son, Luke, in another truck, and Jake in a third truck. Now, this story centers around mainly Luke, who had just graduated from firefighter's school, and he also had a degree in fire science. So Rich got back to the San Fernando Valley and was unloading his truck and getting ready to put things away. And Jacob, son number one, who was the last one to leave, shows up about an hour later. And Rich says, "Where's your brother?" And because he left before you did. And Jake says, "I don't know. He should have been here before me." And then they hear sirens. So as a parent, he, of course, gets those feelings in your stomachs when you...
He's a cow. That's why he has multiple stomachs.
In his stomach. And, where's his son? And he hears sirens. And as a parent, I could tell you, hearing sirens and not knowing where your kids are is always a nerve-shattering experience. So they tried to call Luke on a cell phone, and he's not answering, which is point number 2 of nervousness. And so he said, "Jake, go find your brother, drive towards the sirens." So Jake got in the car, and he drove in Woodland Hills towards those sirens, trying to find them. And he sees that there's fire trucks and paramedics and everything going off in this direction. Of course, things that go through his head and thinking about what he has to report back to his dad. He's not sure he wants to go and see if it has anything to do with his brother. However, he comes across a scene that's different than what his dad and him were fearing. It was actually smoke, and it was a fire on the side of a hill very close to a development of homes.